Hello everyone, this is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Mostly.
Well, 1979, it's been a hell of a year. Just like 2020. But in different ways. So 79,
Special.
on this podcast we say homebrew a lot. And we explained it last time, and you should know what it means by now.
You really should.
But it's just homebrew garbage is what we've been getting in 79. We got just a bunch of trash, and finally we
low budget, just some dude wanted to make a movie trash, yeah.
Well, all the films we've been watching is just a bunch of friends hanging out recently. It's weird. But now we get an actual people who give a shit and a studio produced movie.
A movie with actors and a director
and a plot, and not just a bunch of dudes or people hanging out. There's stuff going on.
It's not just let's just make a movie that we can show our parents.
It's not,
and then lock in the basement forever.
It's not boring handheld bullshit.
Yeah, we're finally in that. I'm hopefully not speaking too soon, but we are finally in the phase of the actual films.
Yes, I hope so, because I hope we've gotten. Oof. Oh boy, we've gotten some.
This has been a winner of a.
I feel like maybe this movie is obviously it's not the greatest movie ever because it's on the podcast, but maybe it's worse than we're thinking, and it's just good because of the shit we've been watching.
Well, it's not a good movie necessarily, but if I watched this without the podcast, I still wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't be mad if I watched this without the podcast.
If I just we've watched some Prime, so if I just came across this movie on Prime and decided to watch it, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
I'd still get enjoyment out of it.
Right, exactly. Me too. And I did get enjoyment out of it, actually. Is it a repeat viewer? Am I going to go out and buy it immediately? No.
It's no Death Force.
But it just held my attention for an hour and 30 minutes, which is saying something because the past few films have not.
And they've all been about that long.
Yeah, I've been bored as fuck. Except for our last one, which was an hour.
60 minutes.
If you can make me bored in an hour time span, just fucking
give up.
Why? So tonight we watched
The Evictors.
The Evictors. Makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense.
Yes. So simple movie, simple plot.
It's a period piece.
It's a period piece set in the 40s.
Most of it, yes.
Yes, there's some flashbacks that take place in the 20s and 30s, but it's mostly set in the 40s. And actually, it looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It actually looks pretty good as a period piece. They used the right cars. They used...
The clothing looks...
The clothing looks close enough. Yeah.
I'm no expert.
I don't have a keen eye on that exactly, but it was believable.
Yeah. I wasn't alive then, so...
Yeah, I wasn't...
I can't tell you.
I wasn't oh, that looks too modern or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty well done. I'm gonna be honest. I'll give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
They did pretty good for a kind of a studio produced movie that no one knows about. They did an okay job.
I don't think this movie even has a Blu-ray or anything.
I don't think
it does. I'll be shocked.
I would too. But yeah, so first things first, let's get the goods out of the way. The fucking cinematography is decent. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. The period piece, the set pieces are pretty good.
Yeah.
It only takes place in a small town and a house, so it's not that hard to do a period piece when you do that.
But even the extras there.
But the extras, they all do fine. The acting's pretty decent. It's not the worst you'll ever watch. The wife is a little unbelievable at times. But, that's...
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But, all in all, pretty decent, filmmaking is going on.
Yeah.
They're competent. at least.
They're not mongoloids.
Yeah, they're not mongoloids, which again is just a breath of fresh air. I can't tell you how good it feels watching just a bunch of shit and then finally watching a movie where the director and the cinematographer and everyone just gave a shit.
Everyone involved is trying.
Exactly. Like, maybe it's not the best movie, but holy shit is it better than what we've been watching, so.
Because we watched some where, like, maybe the cinematographer tried, but everyone else was just, like, snooze mode.
Then we've watched movies where just no one gave a fuck.
With Savage Water,
Zero people gave a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck. So it's shocking.
So it's actually a breath of fresh air, and they go places in this movie, which we'll get into, that I didn't expect, and it was actually pretty shocking.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting some things.
Like, I was pretty surprised at some of the choices they made in this movie. Pretty ballsy, I will admit, for this kind of like just a throwaway, like low budget movie.
Yeah, the one scene.
But I mean, bold, and I appreciate that. I appreciate movies that take risks like that.
Yeah, because that's how you stand out.
Exactly. I mean, this movie obviously didn't stand out, but
well, to mass audiences.
But it tried. It stood out in this podcast because I mean, obviously, it's like the one good movie from '79 we've watched so far. But
I'm sure there's other people who like this, other weirdos like us.
Well, yeah, I guarantee there is.
This is not a fucking megaplex.
No.
Cinema. Though, I mean, I'll be honest, I've seen worse movies in the theater, but whatever.
Yeah, same. So, I guess we'll get into it. So, we get a scene.
It's like set in the 20s.
It's set in the 20s, and they do this weird thing. Whenever they do, like, a flashback or it's set in, like, olden times, they'll do a sepia tone.
Yeah, anything that's not set
color.
In present, quote-unquote, present day is sepia tone.
So they use this filter for every single flashback, and which is fine. I mean, we get it. It's like an old-timey thing, whatever. But
it's a choice. I don't have a problem with it. It's fine.
So we get a bunch of police officers driving to a house out in, like, Missouri.
It's Louisiana.
My bad.
Banker, like a bank guy, and they're trying to evict these people, and he's basically saying that, like, they've already, like, killed people. Like, they've shot at people trying to evict them.
And they're trying to foreclose the house and everything. And, like, they bring, like, a whole squad of policemen.
With guns and everything.
Yeah. So he holds up, like, the eviction notice, and they shoot it out of his hand.
They shoot out of his hand, and then we just get...
Just a firing squad firing at this house.
Just bullets going through the walls.
And there's guys in the house, and they're laying on the ground, and, like, one of their wives tries to come over, and she gets hit in the leg.
And she falls down, and then it just kind of, like, cuts.
Well, remember, it cuts with, like, one of them is laying on top of the woman trying to protect her, and she's screaming, and then it cuts, and it shows... I should say it's freeze-framing this from time to time to show us...
The credits.
Which kind of seems out of place. I don't know why they did the freeze frame, but
I don't know if
fine.
I think honestly think they're just trying to save time.
I think they were because maybe the scene would go too quick if they didn't freeze the frame,
and it would add an extra 2 minutes. I don't know.
So anyway, we get the credits done. It says, you know, the Evictors, all that stuff. And then we go to modern day,
which is 1942.
Yes. Well, I say modern day. Yeah, sorry. Modern day for when these characters are, which is 1942.
And it's this couple buying a house, and it's the same house in the beginning.
So the realtor is like, "Hey, like, you know," they're like, "We really like this house." And the realtor is like, "Well, you know, like, here are the keys, take a look around, all this
I'm going to go finalize the paperwork."
Yes.
He finalizes it. Everything's just fucking
It's
perfect.
peachy.
It's perfection.
And then now we get a bunch of setup, right? It's like the guy finding a new work, getting to know his, like, work and everything. The woman, like, goes to the town to go buy groceries, meets some of the locals.
They're all kind of
like
sus.
Yes, they're very sus, especially one older woman that invites them over for tea and cake.
Oh my god.
They don't show her yet.
Yeah,
but
just later.
But they do mention that she wanted them. It was
they get a letter.
It was like a mysterious letter from her saying like, you need to come over for tea and cake.
Yeah.
And so they get that. And everyone kind of acts a little weird, but like not like weird enough that you're like the whole town's in on it.
Another thing is when the wife, this is kind of where the first like inkling that something's up happens, is when the wife is coming home from town with all the groceries and shit. She's the mailman, leaving some letters in their mailbox.
Yes.
And she reaches in like the very back, and it's just this like tattered note, and just says, "I want you to move out."
Which is probably the nicest like way to tell like tenants that you don't want in there, like to move out. Because like you got like, remember that scene in Amityville Horror when like the priest is like trying to bless it and it's like, get out, and like like, I mean, I want you to move out is pretty polite for a horror movie.
It's very, it's very basic.
It is.
It's not quite screaming at you yet. But she's a little worried, so she locks the house for the first time ever.
So the guy gets home, he has to knock on the door to let her in. She tells him about the note, and he's like, he's probably just kids playing pranks. I did way worse when I was younger. And then we get the next morning, he
also tells her that he was invited at work to like a
like a picnic. That's right. Yeah, it's like a picnic at and then she wants to go to church.
Yeah.
Because,
she's spooked.
She wants holy protection.
Does it work? We'll get there.
No. But I think we
will get there.
So we also get a scene of a guy. So it's the next morning, and like this merchant is coming by.
It's like a traveling merchant, and it's this black guy, and he has the most like Louisiana Creole, like thick blues bayou accent.
It's actually pretty awesome, but some of the stuff I could not understand because he has such a thick Creole accent that it's really hard to understand.
So thick.
Yes.
I mean,
authenticity is through the roof right now, but
I mean, it's great. It's fucking great.
It is great. It is awesome.
I was caught off guard.
So he tries to sell her a bunch of stuff. She's basically saying, like, I already have all this stuff. I don't need anything.
But he just mentions offhand that, like, it's crazy to see, like, people in this house. It's been vacant for so long.
Yeah.
There's been, like, weird things. And she's like, what? And he tells her about one story. And this is, like, probably the dumbest scene in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking here. Like, it's like every other scene is filmed okay and competently. This one was like, nah.
It's just a complete failure of editing.
It's weird. I mean, not at the beginning, but towards the end of the scene, it's just happens. Like, oh my god.
Because it's like this couple own this house, and the guy's like, he's taking the horse into the barn or whatever, and the woman's like yelling for him, and he doesn't answer. So she goes into the barn, and it's going okay. It's going fine. And then suddenly, like, they ramp up the spooky music.
And so she goes to the barn, and she, like, opens the doors, and then she, like, sees something off in the distance, and then we get a guy just walk out.
With a club that has, like, a fucking horseshoe on it, and then, like, in between him, like, booping her.
It looks so stupid.
Booping her to death.
And it's like quick edit.
It's quick edited with like the horse running off, and it's like, if you blink, you'll miss the fact that the horse is carrying like the dead husband. Like he's dead now. But again, you blink, you miss it. You miss that this fucking happens. It's just lots of like quick edits.
And it's so poorly done.
Like when it happened, I was just like, wait, what?
Well, here I was thinking that the whole movie was going to be like this. Like, every time they did a death scene, it would be this poorly edited.
It would be nonsense.
And I was like, oh, please, no, don't. Like, not one of these movies again
where
they have, like, an okay premise and, like, an okay setup and the filming is competent, but the fucking murder scenes are just pure torture to watch.
Yeah, the like, stuff that you actually came for.
Yeah, like, you came for these frights and they're just garbage. It just ruins the whole movie for me. Like any movie that does it, even like ones that are supposed to be good, you know? Like, any movie that has poorly edited, like, horror scenes, it just throw me, like, it's just stupid. Why?
Or where, like, all the horror scenes are just jump scares.
Yeah, so they go to church,
And
this is where we meet the older woman.
and she's like, hey, I was the writer of that mysterious letter, and they're like thinking it's the fucking letter telling them to get the fuck out, which
Not yet. So anyway,
but
so-
she's like, I was the one who told you to come over for like tea and cookies.
and she's like, "Are you coming to the picnic?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna come to the picnic." And she's like, "Okay, it'll be great to see you." So they get in the car. They have like a tender moment where she's like, "Thank you for coming to church with me." So like,
Now the rest of the day is about you.
I want to admit, like, you don't see this a lot in horror movies. Okay?
No.
I'm gonna admit this real quick, and it's kind of spoilers before we get into like actual spoilers, but
The
like,
shenanigans.
here we have a couple, like in most horror movies, like one or another of them doesn't believe the other person, where
Yeah.
it's like crazy shit happens and like either the husband or the wife is like, nah, like that's not happening, like you're fucking crazy, like we're gonna keep living here kind of thing. But this dude is like the most supportive husband I've ever seen in a horror movie.
Yeah,
It is insane, like how supportive this dude is.
because once the shit starts happening, like he's 100%.
He fully supports her, and
Supportive,
you'll see it more because we'll mention
Yeah.
like how he supports her. But like he's fully like he didn't even question why she wanted to go to church. He was like he does like shit like that like no husband in a horror movie would ever do.
Well, because the cliche is that in like these like horror movies about like weird shit happening in the house and only one person is like at home to see it, the cliche is that one person is like the believer and one person's the fucking like
Well, yeah, because you have
skeptic.
because generally speaking, you have to have that tension
Yeah.
between the couple because it puts a strain on their relationship, so that like that way, you know, like the other person feels like a huge sack of shit when like the other person is right. You
Yeah.
know, like it's like, oh shit, I'm like so sorry that
this
you were
movie
right. You were
just,
right about it. But no, this dude
skips
is
that.
This dude is like, no, I believe you. He believes her every step of the way. Does everything he possibly can to make sure she's safe, and like saves her multiple times.
Yeah,
It's insane.
it's great.
It's great. It's like it's kind of progressive, which is wacko. But they actually like it's kind of weird because they don't have that tension between
No.
them. But they make it still work
Yeah, there's like
with the narrative.
yeah, there's really no tension at all with like husband and wife.
No, because they're just a loving, happy couple.
Like all the tension is from the other.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they make it work with the narrative, and
Yeah.
you don't need like if you're gonna make a film like this, you don't absolutely need them to like be fighting.
Because like there's other movies that don't have that, like Poltergeist doesn't
Yeah.
have that like tension.
Right.
I just feel like it's kind of a easy thing to do is to just be like,
Well, see, in,
oh, they hate each other.
in Poltergeist, they're both experiencing it,
Yeah.
though. They both have seen it,
Yeah,
so they both know shit's fucked up. You know, like
yeah,
they both are experiencing that. It's not just one of them experiences it while the other one has to believe them or not.
yeah. In this movie, the guy's just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I
like
believe you.
the dude doesn't see anything the woman experiences, and he's just like, "Yep, I don't care. Like I believe my wife, and she's, you know, she is queen." You know, like that. I mean, he's a true gentleman over here. Like chivalry is
True.
not dead with this character. So they go to the picnic, and he's talking with his bosses.
About how like it's like I think they do something with like cotton, but he mentions that like the machines are just super old and he's not sure if like he can sustain the business. But
Well, and
the
the
guy,
dude's like, "Well, I can probably fix your machines for
I can
you."
like go and pick up the parts for you.
Yeah,
And he's just like he mentions offhand that like if you do that, like there will like if you manage to like save the company basically,
you're gonna
there'll
get a hefty.
a promotion,
Promotion.
and because it's like essential, you won't get drafted because it's World War II.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but while he's talking to them, the woman, the wife, is talking to other people, and they're all kind of giving her these like weird looks because they know like where she lives, right?
They're
And
all kind of giving her the cold shoulder.
there's like a history behind that house.
Yeah.
And so she's like kind of wondering what the hell like everyone's like looking at her for, and then she goes in and asks the old woman. I think this is where we get our next flashback, right?
I
About the guy who gets electrocuted.
wait. No.
No, not yet. So no, sorry. So she talks to the old woman. Everyone's acting weird. So she goes to the husband.
Yeah.
And is like, you know, like
Well, she tells them all this, and then they go home.
Yeah, she's like, "Can we leave? I know you like had more to talk, and I'm sorry." And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine." Like,
Yeah.
like again, okay. First example, he isn't like, "What the fuck? Why are we leaving early? I don't
My
want
picnic. Yeah.
God, you're acting crazy. He's like, no, it's like, yeah, no, we can go home early.
Yeah, they go
He doesn't
home.
give a fuck. They just go home.
But they go home, and he goes upstairs, and because the old woman gives him gives him a bit of like pie.
So they get a pie, and she's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I ruined your day. Let me like slice you some pie, and I'll bring it up, and we can like finish the night on a good note."
They're gonna fuck, yeah.
Yeah, like
and
again, happy couple.
Yeah.
So
he goes upstairs. She goes to slice the pie, and as she like turns off the light and passes by, it's like the back door.
It's like the back breezeway thing.
Yeah, and there's just the man standing there.
It's because lightning strikes, and you see the man like standing there, and she screams, drops the thing, and then like
yells. She yells. The husband comes down, and as soon as he comes over, like the man runs away.
So he
flashlight.
He goes out and inspects it, and
there's nothing but
they do see muddy footprints.
Yeah, and he's just thinking, well, I don't know, maybe it's like a hobo because there's like a railroad track right here. Just some guy trying to get shelter from the rain because it's raining right now. So then after this,
he has to take a train because he's gonna pick up the parts, right? So now instead of driving to work, he has to take a train.
He's gonna be like out of town,
like Kansas City or something like that. I can't remember where it is, but
yeah, he's gonna be out of town.
But he's out of town for like a day or two, and then he like gets back really late and stuff. But anyway, so she decides to go to have tea and cake with that.
The woman,
the older
woman in the wheelchair.
Yes.
Hint, hint. And she talks about all this weird shit, and the woman is just like, yeah, well, you know, like you're just lucky because my husband died, and you're just lucky to have like a man around and all this stuff.
But she also says like, well, and that like house has like a history.
And then she mentions, because then the woman says like, well, someone was saying like that something happened in like 1934, and she's like, I don't know about that, but I know about this.
1937.
And then we get another flashback of like this couple, they're leaving their house, and some guy goes and like fucks with the power line in the back.
So then they get back way late at night, and then they figure out, because it's around Christmas, like December 18th.
And they're like, what? I thought you left the like Christmas tree lights on.
And he's like, I did. And so like they try and flip on some switches, and he's like, well, let me go check the power box. So he goes outside to the shed and like kind of like plays around with the power box, and then as he's doing that, the murderer comes,
switches it on,
and electrocutes this guy to death.
And then the woman is like, because while he's getting electrocuted, the lights inside start flashing on and off. The woman starts screaming like, hey, it turned on for like a brief moment. She just sees the murderer like standing there, and he just comes towards the house, and he goes in and like I guess knocks her out and takes her into like this little like barn and lights it on fire.
And she burns to death.
And then that's the end of that flashback.
Yep. Oh, we should also mention, sorry, we forgot to mention a kind of an important thing. When they met the merchant, the husband hired him to cut some wood and bring some chickens over.
Yeah.
So we forgot to mention that because the next scene is the guy getting to the house to chop wood.
And he's at the house by himself. And you know something's gonna happen, because when he pulls out his like axe, they do a close up on it. So
yep.
you know
So he starts chopping wood, and then he goes to put some on the porch and puts his like axe in the log. So he goes to put some on the porch, and like you see the axe disappear.
You see someone grab it. It's like from first person, and he goes over, doesn't have a clue what's going on, and as he's turned around, we get it's the editing's kind of goofy, but it's not insulting it like the first scene.
It's a shot of like the hatchet in the sky, and it's like walking over. And then we get a scene of him, like the merchant guy, running past the porch with an axe in his back.
With an axe hanging out of his back, and then scene ends. They also edited it with, like, the chickens screaming.
Another progressive point in this film.
Oh, please.
The black guy doesn't die first.
Please.
He died fifth.
Please.
Fifth.
Sir.
I just...
Sir.
Sir.
Stop.
So the wife gets back to the house after having tea, and she kind of notices... I can't remember why.
Well, no,
she
first we get a scene
off,
of, like, her at, like, the chicken coop feeding the chickens.
Yeah, that's right. And then, like, the music kind of ramps up.
She comes home, and she sees the axe.
Oh, no, sorry, no, sorry. No, remember she's driving home, and she sees the merchant pulling out, but it's not the merchant, it's the guy.
It's the murderer.
It's the murderer.
But he's, like,
and
holding his head down.
He, like, hides himself and then, like, pulls out because his engine stalls.
Yeah.
And then she pulls in because she's like, okay, like, whatever, and then she goes to feed the chickens.
Well, first she goes in the house. She sees the hatchet. And there's just a note on it. And it says, like, pay me later.
Yeah.
Whatever. Then, after that, she goes in feed the chickens. We get a fake out spook.
Of a chicken flying at her.
And then she goes in the house and she hears footsteps. Like, creaking.
Well, and she's on the phone with her husband, and she's like, can't you come home? And he's like, yeah, I can try and get home a little early. I'll be there early evening. And she's like, he hangs up, and she's like, no, someone's in the house. So she's like,
fakes out.
She's like, what's that? Like, someone's gonna bring her, like, come get those tools? Okay, all right, that sounds good. And then she hangs up.
But we see like a door opening and just a shadow kind of standing in the light.
So she goes to look at the stairway, and there's our dude.
And he runs down. What? No,
he walks downstairs.
He walks like a fucking turtle downstairs. And he has he put a 2x4 to block the door from opening. So she takes a frying pan and busts the glass and opens it. And then the final thing is she looks at him and just yeets the frying pan at him.
He dodges it, but she just full on fucking threw that thing at him.
And then she runs away.
So the dude gets back to the house, our husband guy.
She runs to...
Oh, he doesn't get back to the house. He gets to the old woman's house.
Yeah, because she runs to the old woman in the wheelchair and tells her what happened. And then the husband shows up there, and, they reunite, and then that's when the woman... Because he just asks, like, the old woman, is like, do you happen to have, like, a gun or anything? And she's like, yeah, my husband had something.
She's like, I have a shotgun, but I'm not sure if it works or not.
And she goes into, like, this room that's got, like, a padlock on it. Presumably that's her ex-husband's room. And she goes in there and just kind of closes it and then walks out and gives him, like, shotgun and some shells.
Yep. Now, pay attention to this, that she didn't know if it worked or not.
She didn't know if it worked, and, her, her makeup and wig look a little...
Suspect? Sus?
A little sus, and I was ready to, like, really rip into it, but we'll get there.
So, now... So this is where the wife is like, hey, like, I don't want to live here anymore, basically. Mm-hmm. She's like, it's too freaky. I'm not liking this house. It's not what I thought it was. Can we move out? And the guy's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I just got to get this sorted out and we can move out.
Yep.
No questions.
No question.
Because, again, in a normal situation, you'd probably see your wife going through all this and be like, yeah, I'm going to try everything I can to get us moved out of here. Like in all actuality, I think any decent human being would be like,
Yes.
you've been through some horrific shit. Let's get you out of this fucking house.
Yes.
So anyway, before that all happened, before like he tries to move them out and everything, he's gonna make sure his wife is protected.
Well, they go into town and like she gets groceries, but he goes and buys a pistol for her and like a shitload of ammo.
I legit thought he was buying the gun for himself,
That's what I thought too.
but no, he buys it for her and buys her a bunch of ammo, and then they practice at home.
He basically tells her like, "I want you to practice like every day," because he hangs like it's like a bag of, I don't know, sand or something on a tree, and just tells her like, "I want you to practice every single day."
This guy's the man, dude. Yeah. He is awesome. Like, and the wife, I mean, the wife's awesome too, but like, I mean, like, this guy just takes every precaution to protect her, and like, it's great. And I really hate what happens to him, but
because it's night, he has to go to work late.
So what he does is he's like, hey, like, you know, I called the older lady,
and she said you can.
She said you can stay there. And the wife's like, well, I don't want to stay there too late because she goes to bed early. And he's like, it's fine. Just like,
however long you have to.
Just go over there. That way you'll be safe and you don't have to stay in that house. Like an absolute gentleman. Like. And
she goes there. And there's just a ringing phone, but no one's opening the door.
Yes.
So she goes back home. And so the husband like calls both places, but doesn't get an answer. He's just like, well.
So he thinks that's weird, right? Yeah. And it is weird. And so he goes up to his like some other guy, and he's like, "Hey, I know I said I'd stay late, but I called and they're not answering, so I'm worried. I'm gonna go home. And can you cover my shift?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And I'm in awe. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm just like, I was so in my like classic like horror brain that like. You know, no spouse supports their other spouse until the very end of the movie.
Until they're, like, literally dying.
But every step of the way, this guy supports his wife in every way possible. And it's beautiful to see. So, anyway, and I really hate this next scene. But
because she comes back to her home, and shit immediately starts going down.
Yeah, because the guy's immediately outside of her house, and she starts shooting at him and, like, trying to like hit him outside the window, and
he keeps missing, and
he keeps like messing with her, like going to different windows and like jiggling the lock so it confuses her.
And eventually he busts in, and
well, no, he doesn't bust in.
Well, no, he breaks the window open.
So remember,
but right when he's about to step in,
and then she reloads the gun, and she's like hiding behind the couch. But right as he's gonna step in, he sees the husband's car coming down the road.
He walks away.
So he walks away. The husband comes in the door.
And I
guessed. Did not.
I had a feeling. I was just like. Offhand, during the movie, I was just like, what if she shoots him?
I hate it because I really like this couple. Like this is it's a very likable couple.
And I was just like, what if she shoots him? No. But in my head, when I said that, I didn't think that would actually happen.
Manifest, but it does. Did. So he walks in, and she immediately shoots him twice, and then realizes the husband, and like realizes what a fucking mistake she made.
But there's no time because guess who runs in?
Yeah, she runs over to grieve over her husband that she just shot, and the bad guy immediately walks in, so she has to run up the stairs.
He corners her
because she drops the gun.
But she picks up the shotgun and it doesn't work.
Yeah, so she tries to pick up the shotgun, but it jams when she puts the shells in, and so he corners her against like her dresser, and starts like tearing off her clothes.
But we see the husband slowly
crawl up the stairs. Because he finds the revolver, and he crawls up the stairs, and then he's like raising it above his head, and he calls out the wife's name, and then points.
She ducks,
and then shoots the guy out the window.
And the guy flies out of the fucking window and just kind of crawls away.
Yep. And then
then they're at the fucking hospital.
Yeah.
With everyone there. I also want to mention before we get further that they've talked to the realtor a lot after they bought the house.
Yes.
And every time he's kind of like been a little weird toward the wife.
Yes, like he's called her like you know, like a sweet thing, and like he's very sweet on her.
Like a little too
Like
too sweet.
Pretty much hitting on her
Yeah.
the entire movie.
And they're all at the hospital. The realtor, the old woman.
He also avoids questions when she asks him like why they did why he
didn't tell me about the murders.
Yeah, he just kind of avoids the question and answers it with like another question or whatever.
Basically,
like he avoids everything.
Yeah.
So they're at the hospital. Everyone's there, and the doctor tells them that the husband died.
There's nothing we can do.
The husband is dead.
The next scene is the fucking funeral.
Yes. So, our mad lad dude
I was
spent his last breath saving his fucking wife
after she shot him twice.
After she shot him twice.
Bold.
You know what? I commend this movie. It's great.
It's great.
Strong characters.
Yeah.
No, it's great. But anyway, so now we're at the funeral. They're like giving the speech and everything. And we see the everyone starts to leave after the sermon is given, and we see the old woman go back to her house, and she's like rolling in, and she sees the door that was usually locked, open.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, as you can probably, I mean, if you're watching the movie, you can probably already surmise who this older woman is.
Because you may remember in the beginning of the movie, there was a woman.
In the beginning of the movie, if you really think about it, there's 3 people, right? And they didn't show them exactly die.
No.
So we don't know what happened to those 3 people. So we obviously suspect that those 3 people are still alive, and those are the people terrorizing the house.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, with that information, here we go. Finally, these are like some of the final moments of the movie. So she wheels into the room, and we see the dude, the murderer, laying on the bed
with like a homemade like cast around his stomach where he got shot.
Yes. So
and he's just like freaking out, like, I can't believe you went to like his funeral because he tried to murder me and all this stuff.
Yeah, he's like really pissed off that she would even like humor the tenants of the house, because he's like, we've been doing this for years, like you've never like had an attachment to them, like what are you doing? And she like rips off the wig, and she's like, I still love you, I'm still like your wife, and
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like I've been suffering and doing all this like stuff for you for years, like it's over.
Yeah.
He takes out a fucking knife and kills her.
She tries to wheel away. Yeah, he grabs her wheelchair and stabs her.
And then the funeral is still ongoing, by the way. It ends. And then the wife is going to go and, like, you know, I guess...
She wants to talk to the older woman because she wants to, like... I guess that's, like, her confidant now. Mm-hmm. So she's, like... She wants to just go, like, say goodbye because she's going to move out of the house. So
the realtor drives her there. She walks in the house, and I had a feeling. As soon as I knew they were, I had a feeling when I heard it. But she walks in, she calls her name, and you see someone in like a high-pitched voice is just like, yes, I'm here.
So she goes in, and we see the wheelchair facing away from her with the wig. And it's obviously, because you can see his beard, but like, it's obviously the dude.
Dressed in her like cardigan and everything.
And she's like, well, like, how are you? And she like, you know, the wheelchair turns around, and it's the dude, and he comes at her with the knife, and then our realtor dude walks in.
She locks herself in a room, and the realtor walks in and just blasts the fucking guy.
He's so casual about it too. He just blasts him, and like then walks over and like his like, it's okay, like you can come out. And then
it fades out, and it's 5 years later. It's 1947 now.
So we see a couple pulling into the realtor's like office space,
and it's this woman and a man that I can best describe as a fucking cuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like constantly sneezing,
and he just like repeats everything she says. She just like kind of like is always like bossing him around. But they talk about how all of his fucking houses are shit. They're all shit, except one.
They drove past a certain house.
And they want to know, is that house for sale? And he like looks through his folders. He's like, oh yes, it's for sale.
Yep. And then
But we get a close-up. Because early in the movie, we see somebody putting on a pair of like spectacles. And they have like a crack in them.
Yeah.
It's one of the family members. And in this scene, the realtor puts on the exact
broken
same
spectacles.
Broken fucking spectacles.
He's one of the fucking family members. I don't know how he so easily killed the dude. Like, they didn't have any... It's kind of weird to me that they didn't have any interaction. Like, zero. He just fucking murdered the guy.
Bro, he wanted that poontang so much.
He did. And
because guess who walks in the real estate office?
The wife.
His now wife, the main woman in the movie, walks in and, you know, he's just like, they make the deal and they're leaving and she's just like telling him like, I thought you promised me, like no one would ever live there again.
And then
movie ends.
Well, no. So actually the movie doesn't.
Oh no!
Yet.
We get a fucking narration.
So we get a spider crawling along, like a tarantula crawling along this branch.
On a branch, yeah.
And it's a narration about how the two people that moved in that year, one of them was pushed down a well.
The woman was found at the bottom of a well.
And the other one was hanging in the like the front room.
Presumed suicide.
Yep.
End.
Just
the last thing is just like, the house is still vacant.
So the legacy continues. I will admit the woman who played the wife at the end is really like good at playing, like kind of like you can tell she's been kind of manipulated by this guy.
Well, she's very like emotionally like gone.
Like she's like emotionally damaged because like how could she not be?
Yeah.
She fucking murdered her husband.
No, by the end of the movie she's very like just gone.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing behind the eyes. It's just she's gone mentally. Done.
But she did a good job at portraying that at the end. Like, it was weird because her acting was kind of hit and miss throughout the movie, but that was actually a pretty good scene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, it's not, like, the best twist I've ever seen, but, like, it was pretty
there's
decent.
parts of it that I wasn't expecting, because...
I mean, you could call the older woman.
Halfway through...
That's easy.
Halfway through, like, the fact that, like, the weird makeup, I was just like, there's something up with this. Like... Are they really expecting me to believe this is an old woman? But then in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. There is a woman in the beginning. It's fucking her. So that was, like, predictable. But other parts, like, I didn't fucking expect her to murder her fucking husband.
No, and the realtor, I kind of had a guess, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I knew
something was, like, suspicious about him, but I didn't know he was, like, a family member.
Or that he would literally marry her.
I kind of thought they were going to go the route of he was just, like, in cahoots with the family and just giving them the people to murder, basically.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, that wasn't it either.
No, he's literally just making money.
Yeah, that's what he's doing, and murdering people.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's not like... It's only like an hour and...
It's only an hour and a half.
And a half, so it's like not going to waste your time. It's a pretty decent setup. The likable characters. Like, you like the husband and the wife. Like, they're pretty likable characters. They're just kind of down-to-earth, just normal people.
There's no, like
bickering. They fucking love each other. Like, it's great. Like, there's this... And they have pretty good chemistry for this, like, low budget of a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, kind of, like, the acting isn't the greatest, but they have good chemistry together.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I actually ended up kind of enjoying this movie. It wasn't, like... It's nothing I'm gonna, like, write home about, but, like...
No.
It's... For an hour and a half, it's just, like, kind of a quick throwaway horror movie.
You could do worse.
Yeah, you could do a lot worse, and I would probably recommend it if you want to just... If you have nothing else to watch and you just want to watch some random fucking B movie.
If you want to watch some shenanigans for an hour and a half, I mean...
It's on Amazon Prime.
You could do worse. You could do a lot worse.
It's true. Like, I don't know. I wasn't disappointed this time.
No.
Which is great. And I think I'm giving this such high praise because of all the other shit we've watched. Like, it's still gonna be like a pretty decent movie, but maybe it would be less decent if I hadn't have watched all the other shit.
If we hadn't seen all the other bullshit.
So I don't know. I haven't looked at it from those kind of fresh eyes, but you know what? For what it was, I'm gonna give it a pass, and I think it's I would recommend it if you want just a quick hour and a half, like kind of like don't go in this house, kind of like haunted house,
but not
kind
of
like
pretty
murderer house. I don't know. I might go middle of the road this one. I was thinking like a 5, but maybe I'll bump it up to a 6 just because of the boldness of the fucking killing the husband. That was pretty. I don't know. That was pretty good. I'm not gonna give this like, I don't know. I wouldn't like rate it like super high, but you know, maybe I'll do a solid 7.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do mine at a 6. Because like it's not a 5 because I do think it's better than average.
Yeah.
It's better than average on our shitty to pretty scale. It's better than average. Because again, it's all about entertainment and it does have that. The only reason I can't justify higher than a 6 is that it just needed a little more something.
I will admit the murderer isn't that scary. The guy, he's just like a normal kind of like schlubby
guy.
Like
it's like if you put your fucking like someone's dad,
he's just like a typical schlubby redneck guy. Like it's just a throwaway character, and I think they could have done something cool with like the murderer, like maybe have him like have a scar or have him like deformed in some way,
or use a unique weapon.
It was weird because in the 70s you had that kind of shit. Like you had like weird murderers and like
the slasher thing
was in full effect
by this point. Yeah,
like
'cause Halloween was a year before this.
Yeah, so it's like you had all this, like you had potential, but you kind of wasted it on the murderer at least.
Yeah,
like I liked everything else, but the murderers weren't exciting. I was just like, I didn't really care about the 3 characters.
No, I mean, look, if this movie had a scene of a wheelchair lady murdering somebody, I might have bumped it up to a 7.
I think my only thing is like maybe 7 is too generous, but like just the scene where she murders her husband, I just did not see that coming at all.
I didn't see any of that coming. I mean, the whole like last half hour was just like scene after scene of like surprises.
Yes.
It just kept going. And the almost Alfred Hitchcock Psycho throwback of the fucking dude dressing up as the dead woman in the wig and all was
that actually happened.
Was great.
Now, listen, this isn't gonna win best of the best. It's not gonna. It's just kind of like there.
I mean, look.
I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't win best of the best, because if this is the best we got in '79, that's.
Don't do it. Don't do it,
dude.
You don't know.
There has to be a little bit better.
I know you're super stoked for our next movie, and I am too. And it might be best of the best. Maybe it will be entertaining as hell. We know that.
Yes, it will be.
But we'll see if it's best of the best.
I mean, we still got quite a few movies in '79.
The year's not over. We'll see. We shall see.
I don't know. But, yeah, that's all I have to say. I mean...
Yeah.
Again, if you want to go watch it, it's the Evictors... The
Evictors.
The Evictors on Prime. Yeah, just kind of a simple, stupid murder house movie.
Enjoy it.
Just go enjoy it. I mean, grab some friends and, like, kind of just, like... I don't know. Just have a good time. I don't know.
Have a good old time.
If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, then don't. I don't care.
If you know.
If you listen to this episode, you already know what the fucking whole movie is about. So like, maybe don't watch it. I don't know. You live your life, okay? Maybe you watch them and then listen to this, and
You do what you
and disagree with all of our stuff. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys do.
Maybe you're the kind of person who's like, oh, this is fucking whack. This is not nearly as good as fucking Savage Water.
Hell no. Will and Alex suck.
I need some fucking mongoloids going down the river.
Maybe I'll go watch Lucifer Complex to rinse my mouth out.
Or you can be one of those people that's like, the video does not work.
Oh,
it's only commentary. Only audio.
Like that YouTube guy.
I don't think we mentioned it on our fucking live stream, but should we just mention it now?
Let's do a deep cut. Okay, so... Oh my god. Oh my god, the stupidity.
See, we do read our comments. And we do appreciate them. I really do. I appreciate them.
We don't get many. And I would I mean, honestly, if you guys want to comment more, please do it.
Like, I read all of them.
We do read all of them. I like them. We comment on them.
But every now and then, some fucking cheese dip. Some fucking...
So as you probably know, on our YouTube, sometimes we put the posters.
Always, almost always.
Yeah, sometimes you put like a funny like.
If I have zero respect for the movie, I will put a fucking image.
Yes.
Like Psychotronic Man crossing his eyes.
But we do put the poster, right? So it's always the clip art for the episode, right?
Yes.
And a lot of times when you're watching movies on YouTube, it will show the poster, and then you click on it and watch it, then it shows the movie, right?
Yes, but here's the thing: when you do that, it doesn't say like episode number 120.
Yes.
Whatever.
Now, what's hilarious is I can't remember what movie
it was. It was The Incredible Two-Headed Transplant. A fucking... God damn, that was a long time ago.
Yes, it seems so long ago.
Fuck that movie.
So someone literally, like, just recently, actually, like, put, the video does not play, it's only commentary.
It's only audio?
It's only audio, and I'm like, yes, this is a review channel, we don't play the movies. Like, you should know that. Like, this is a review channel.
Well, here's the thing. With the way he wrote that comment, it makes me think that he clicked it, started listening, he heard the the beer can opening and us talking, and assumed
he thought it was like film commentary.
That was the movie.
I don't know. You would think if you didn't immediately see like images images of a movie coming on.
It's not the movie.
It's not the movie. If you just hear two fucking dudes talking about a movie,
that's a review.
That's a review.
Like, it's not the movie. Like we didn't upload the movie and forget to include the fucking movie.
Whoops! Oh, we forgot to put the video file.
It's just the audio.
Oh no, it's just the audio. Like, what kind of movie is just two dudes in a room talking like about movies? Yeah, that's
the movie.
There's just two dudes in a room talking about movies, and
a 40-minute movie.
Oh my
that's
God.
it. That's the movie.
So yeah, that was please comment on our YouTube and comment on Podbean. You can comment on anything. We respond.
Before we end this review,
yes,
I just want to say one thing.
What's that?
On our YouTube, we are at 69 subscribers.
Hell yeah. It's a good number.
Nice. I'm done.
Real nice. For they mostly come out at night, this has been Will.
Oh, this has been Alex.
We'll talk to you all later.
69. Bye.
Nice.